Blog Talk Radio.
Stevie B's Media Production is a part of the Shellcaster Network.
The proclamation of the gospel of Jesus Christ by members of the Churches of Christ. With your host, Stevie R. Butler. You're listening to What a Word from the Lord radio show.
You are my protector, and you are my provider, and my deliverer. There's no other help I know. You are my protector, and you are my provider, and my deliverer. There's no other help I know. I really love the Lord.
You're listening to What a Word from the Lord radio show.
Good evening, wherever you are in the world listening to this radio broadcast. Stevie B's Media Production presents What a Word from the Lord radio show. I'm your host, Stevie R. Butler, and this radio show is being broadcast from Stevie B's Media Production at the Carolina studio in the great state of North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just grateful for the privilege to bring you a program where we as Christians and members of the churches of Christ can share our faith and preach and teach the glorious gospel of Jesus Christ on a weekly basis. If you'd like to contact us while we're on the air this evening, just give me a call to the live show at 713-955-0508. If you have any questions or comments for any of my co-hosts or special guests on this broadcast, you can send your emails to my new email address, butlersteve1009 at yahoo.com, or give me a call, Stevie B's Media Production at the Carolina studio at 910-491-6405. Now, again, this program is brought to you by members of the Churches of Christ, and if you need any assistance in locating a congregation in your area, please feel free to contact us. Now, folks, get out your Bibles and study along with us here on What a Word from the Lord radio show.
You're listening to What a Word from the Lord radio show.
We have a special edition tonight. My co-host, Shauna Otis, she serves with the Graceway Church of Christ there in Nashville, Tennessee. She has her team, the Mid-Tennessee Singles Ministry, that airs every third Tuesday of the month. So enjoy your listening experience. Shauna, it's all yours. Take it away.
My name is Bryant Malone, and you're listening to the Mid-Tennessee Singles Hour Power on the What a Word from the Lord radio show.
Good evening, everybody. We thank you for tuning in to What a Word from the Lord radio show for the Mid-Tennessee Singles Hour of Power. My name is Shauna Otis, and I am here tonight with Yolonda Johnson. We're also here with our Mid-Tennessee Singles Ministry, as well as some of our volunteers, as well as our members of the committee. Our mission is to empower singles to become fully devoted to the followers of Christ and to encourage one another to live an abundant life, and to help equip singles to demonstrate God's love by reaching the lost, by teaching and preaching God's word. Our ministry is always growing, and we are always recruiting new members. If this is you, feel free to reach out to us via our email, which is MD, like mid, without the I, TN, singles at gmail.com for ways to help get involved, or if you just want to make a donation to our ministry. Our moderators for tonight's show is Sister Yolonda Johnson and myself, yours truly. Yolonda Johnson attends East 3rd Street Church of Christ in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and is also the marketing chair for the Mid-Tennessee Singles Ministry. And Shauna Otis, yours truly. Also, I currently worship. I'm a member of Graceway Church of Christ in Smyrna, Tennessee, but currently virtually worshiping. And I visit Renaissance Church of Christ online from time to time, East Point Church of Christ from time to time. So there's so many churches of Christ just to visit virtually while we're under this pandemic. Tonight's topic is what are some reasons we should trust God? And we can probably go on and on and on. So I'm really looking forward just to be able to hear what everybody's thoughts on that topic is. But we have one request for you, is to please keep your phones muted to eliminate all the background noises. And if you would like to make a comment or you want to ask a question, just remember to place your phones back on mute because the phone lines will be live, and we just we want to eliminate all the background noises if at all possible. So I want to ask a question. And I'll let Yolanda chime in here shortly as well. But when you're thinking about reasons we should trust God and his process, looking at today alone, just think about today, what are some reasons we should trust God? Did anyone drive today, or did you walk in your home, or get out of the bed today? Let's see, go out to check your mailbox. Yolanda, what are some reasons you think we should trust God in His process?
Well, thank you, Shauna, and good evening, everyone. Just to let you know that one thing we should know is that having faith in difficult times can allow you to find peace. I know that God is peace, and so, I just look for that peace. And when anything is difficult is going our way or my way. Throughout life's journey, we will face difficult times, and there are times when we will go through pain or suffering. We are surprised when these situations find their way into our lives. Even as Christians, as we should all know, that we will experience hardship sometime or another. One scripture that comes to mind is Ephesians 2:8-9. For by grace are ye saved through faith. Verse 9, not of works, lest any man should boast. We are given the gift of faith from Him and are taught to use this valuable gift. But a lot of times we do not practice using this faith. Why? Well, because many times we are quick to worry about our circumstances instead of trusting that God will see us these situations, and He always does. We just have to ask Him. Now, when going through hardships, whether they are financial troubles, painful relationships, or even health issues, it is hard for us to realize that God is always working in us. Because sometimes we use our belief based on what we see and not by faith. 2 Corinthians 5:7 reads, for we walk by faith, not by sight. But as believers, which we should all be, we know that His ways are not our ways. He will ultimately work all things for good, according to Isaiah 9. And it reads, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, said the Lord. Verse 9 says, for the heavens are greater than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. Does anyone like to chime in to that part right there and give your comment on what you think about that part? And what do you think about that verse? No one? Okay, well, we'll move right along. Another thing that we as humans can forget in times of need is to recognize God's gift of grace to us. Hebrews 4:16 reads, let us then approach the throne of grace with confidence so that we may receive mercy and grace to help us in our time of need. One thing we need to know is that we should have confidence and assurance as we reach out to God with our struggles. And whatever He decides happens is for our own well-being. Because as we should all know, a lot of things that we ask God for, He does not feel that we need them. He always answers our needs and not our wants, not all of our wants. Many times we find it easier to praise God when times are good, and that's pretty easy to do. But we also have to learn to praise and trust God, especially in difficult situations. Life can be going great. You can have a satisfying job. Friends and family can be enjoyable. Your goals, health, and finances can all be going well. Then all of a sudden, bam, here comes troubled situations. And some of those troubled situations are such as someone you know gets sick, you lose your job, your friends or family members can even betray you. Even death occurs with close family or friends or family members. Just when life feels secure and all of a sudden life feels shaky and uncertain. Now, does anyone have any comments on how to trust God is good in these circumstances? And especially when you cannot see a resolution. Okay, well, we'll move on. There are several ways in which we can go. There are several ways in which we can go through difficult times. Does anyone like to share any ways in which we can trust God in our everyday situations? Because I'm sure everyone has something that happens to them throughout the day, or some type of disappointment. How do you get through that?
Hey, Yolanda, this is Rochelle.
Hey, Rochelle.
How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Doing well. So I know with me, I always keep everything in prayer, and I just know He is going to come through, and even when it seems dim, you know, He still comes through. And I used to worry, you know, and Lord, I'm praying, and I'm, you know, but I'm at the same time I'm worried. So that I know is not me putting my full faith in God that He's gonna come through. But the older that I got, and I would say, Lord, this is where I'm at. This is what I need, and now I have a calm heart because I know, even though I don't know how that's going to come out, I just know that He is going to come through, and He's gonna come through how He wants to come through.
Exactly, and He comes through every time. It might not, like that saying says, it might not be when you want it, but He's always on time.
That's right.
And yeah, it is right. That is one of the. Anyone else?
Hey, so this is Shauna. So
yeah,
Rochelle made a good point too. You know, when you think about that worry, I mean, a lot of times it's that human side of you. You're always worried. It's hard not to worry.
That's right.
But I know I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I would be the first to admit that. But I am still learning. But sometimes it's hard not to worry about things. On every, you know, you pray about it. You try not to worry about it. You pray about it, but then you start worrying about it again. But you know, we just gotta trust God more in the process of it. That's the hard part, you know, is trusting Him, not trusting Him. Well, I think the hard part is letting go. Is once we surrender it to God, we like to try to snatch it back, and we start worrying about it. And it's almost like we're not trusting God in that process. So that's hard. But that was a good point that you made, Rochelle.
That was a good. You both. Anyone else have any comments or would like to speak on how they can get through?
Okay.
Hi, Brenda.
This is Brenda. Hi. I was just gonna say sometimes it can be hard, like Shauna was saying, to not worry about a situation, but I try to remember that God is my best source for getting through it, and just trying to keep in prayer and being confident that it's going to be worked out once I go to God in prayer, asking for relief for that situation.
Exactly. Thank you, Brenda.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Well, we can all say, out of all the comments that were made, that the main source is prayer. And I agree to that. a lot of people knew my dad when he was the elder when he passed away in 2011, and he was the elder at Church of Christ, and he always told us to pray. Anytime you go through a difficult situation or something's coming your way or something just doesn't seem right, pray about it. And that is an excellent source. And that's what one of my main topics was one thing that we can do is pray. When you pray, you're actually talking to God. Trusting God during tough times takes prayer and, of course, faith that he would do what he says. And he always does what he says. Luke 1:37 says, nothing shall be impossible. I'm sure everyone can agree to that with me. So you can also grow your faith by establishing a relationship with Jesus. Recall his blessings and remember the many things you prayed about and that God answered. Matthew 19:26 says, but Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. And I'm sure everyone can agree with me on that. Okay. I'm going to say this last thing, and then we're going to go to a quick break. But first of all, I would like to see if anyone else have any comments or would like to share anything with us before we go on the quick break.
Yolanda.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Lynetta Dixon.
Hey, Sister Lynetta.
Your church member. I've learned that, I work in the medical field, right? So I've learned to trust God in, like, when I go into work, and my prayer room at work is the bathroom, the restroom. I go in there, and the first thing I do is say my prayers in the morning, do my devotions, and, you have the frequent flyers that comes to the clinic. And, they come in with the attitudes. They wake up with the attitudes. So I've learned, before I say my prayers in the morning, I'm like, Lord, please just help me to hold my tongue. Help me to, and I've noticed that if it's somebody come in there with a bad attitude, if I show them that I'm not going to let them get to me or let them mess my day up or let them make me upset, it turns their attitude around. It turns their attitude around. They turn around and they be nice to me, because I've had those that, that come in with perturbed attitudes and just could ruin your day if you let them, and I have let them before. But when I learned to pray first and go in there and deal with the public, it's okay. So I put my trust in the Lord first thing in the morning when I wake up in the morning, open my eyes.
Exactly.
Thank you, Lord, for waking me up. Just help me deal with the public. So, I've learned just, when you put that trust there, you can turn another person's negativity or just totally around. But now, that's not easy. I admit that it's not easy to do. It's definitely not easy.
Sister Yolanda. You're definitely right about that. Now, can you hold that thought right there? And when we come back, then you can, we have to take a quick break.
Oh, okay.
And then when we come back, then we'll let you, Sister Bone. I know that voice.
I was going to piggyback on what you were saying about the power of prayer. Okay, I'll try to hold it. Okay.
Okay.
I'll try to hold.
And we will be back after the station of identification.
It ain't all good, but it's gonna be good.
'Cause I love him.
I'm on an uphill climb, but I'm doing fine.
And I trust him.
Everything ain't well, but it's gonna be swell.
In the fullness of time, everything's gonna be fine.
Whoa.
In the fullness of time, everything is alright.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a rundown man, but I'm looking upward.
'Cause I know him.
I'm trying to be holy. I want to be worthy.
So he'll
know me. I look around me and it seems like evil wins.
In the fullness of time,
I know
everything's gonna be fine.
Oh,
In the fullness of time, everything is alright.
Well, when
Things don't move the way you want them to, when things that you know want to come to you, find their way to another place. It makes it hard to keep a smile on your face. You just run and try to prove yourself to folks who don't appreciate you. You give all you can till you don't have. No, time or space for yourself. God is true to his promise.
oh, my friend,
Your time is coming.
and
Everything was gonna be good.
but he promised it'll work out.
Good to show some loving.
Lord, it ain't all good, but it's gonna be good.
'Cause I love him.
I'm on an
Climbing.
and I'm doing fine.
And I trust him.
Everything ain't well, but it's gonna be swell.
In the fullness of time, everything's gonna be fine.
Everything that I've been through,
In the fullness of time,
put it together and add it all up.
everything is alright.
In the fullness of time,
everything is alright. Everything is alright.
In the fullness of time,
Everything is alright. Everything is alright. Everything is alright. Everything is alright.
Listening to the Mid-Tennessee Singles Hour Pie.
Okay, we are back. Thank you all for all your comments so far and for sharing your testimonies with us. I really appreciate that, and we really appreciate that. And we can all learn from each other. Shauna and I was talking earlier. This is a really good learning lesson. As I was studying, I was able to just pick up some things and learn myself, new things myself. So every day is a learning process. Now, I know before we move on, does anyone else have any comments or anything that they would like to share? I know Sister Bone, one of my motivators.
No.
One of my biggest motivators.
Yes, I was just really touched by Lynetta's comment because I do realize the power of prayer. I've always prayed for peace and understanding within my family, because you always have someone who tries to keep you all upset and blah, 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 blah. You know how it's always that one person, I don't care when we gather, somebody's going to say or do something that you said, why are they doing that? But you just continue to pray. And so over the past couple of years, that constant praying for that person, it has made a difference. That's why I know that God does answer prayers. We have to keep on believing, keep trusting Him, keep loving, keep praising Him. Just keep on praying because He will listen to you. And as you find people calling you to request prayer, and some of the same people who used to just get on your nerves because they were cut down. So God is really, He's blessing us. And I just ask for continued prayers that He bless my family and all families who experience disruptions and misunderstandings. That may not be the way I was going to say it earlier, but I just realized the power of prayer. And I do know we have to keep on believing in God's glory to help us to make it through. No matter what we do, no matter what happens, we have to keep on trusting Him, keep on praising Him, and keep on believing that He will help us. Yes, ma'am. That's my comment.
You're right about that, how we have to keep trusting Him and praising Him, no matter what the circumstances is.
That's right.
One thing that I thought about what you said just now, I'm going to add on. People watch you every day, and they know if you're sincere in the Lord, you know, and when you're not. I get people ask me all the time to pray for them. Clients, family members, friends, you know, they always ask to pray. So thank you for those comments, ladies. And anytime you want to join in, just feel free. Now, one thing we've all heard is the saying, let go and let God, right? When we give Jesus our problems, it's important to let go and let Him take over, even when sometimes we have struggles in our lives we have struggles in our lives that seems to last a long time. Now, when I was reading Isaiah 40:31, it read, "But they that wait upon the Lord," this is one of my favorite scriptures, y'all. "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." Hard times will come and go, but staying focused and keeping our faith in the Lord will result in greater blessings. And I'm sure we can all attest to that. God never promised us that life would be easy. As a matter of fact, He told us that we were going to go through hardship from time to time. We are expected to go through some trials. We should also use our struggles to grow spiritually into a stronger Christian. John 16:33 says, "These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulations, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." And also John 14:27 says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." Now, does anyone have any comments on that part? On how you were able to let go and let God?
Hey, Yolanda, this is Nidra.
Hi, Nidra.
Hey. So I've been listening to everyone's comments, and I have learned to let go and let God, because when you really think about whatever the situation is, I ask myself, what exactly can I do about it? It's nothing that I can physically do, mentally do, or emotionally do. Sitting around worrying about stuff is something I don't do. If somebody's hurt in the hospital, going through surgery, whatever the situation may be, I don't sit around and worry about it. I pray about it, and I leave it in God's hands because it's nothing I can do.
That's
so right. I look at myself and say, you know, what's the point of me sitting here worrying about something I have absolutely no control over? I have turned it over to God, and I let him handle it, and he always does.
Exactly.
So I've been fortunate in that. I've been very fortunate in that, and I thank God for every day that he has blessed me with, and I thank God every morning that I'm able to open my eyes and get up and go log on to my computer and work. And a lot of days I don't have to leave the house, which is good. But, you know, again, I don't sit around and worry about anything.
Exactly.
And I'm glad I'm able to do that. I know Shauna and a lot of the, you know, other people were talking, and they were saying, you know, a lot of times it's hard for them to not worry. And it is hard for a lot of people not to worry, but I just don't allow myself to do that because, again, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
So in that instance, I let go and I let God.
Yeah. And that is really good. Thank you, Nidra, for that statement. Now, one thing. Go ahead.
Just, you know, piggyback off of what Nidra said. You know, when you worry, and I can't say that all the time I'm good without worrying, but when you worry, you make yourself sick. And then I learned that that's where anxiety comes in. When you can't control something that you're worried about, that's when your anxiety kicks in. And I know that firsthand. But I was one that I would just pray and pray and pray, please, Lord. And when I would pray, I'd also ask him to calm my heart, to calm that worry. But I you know, I was one that I probably made myself sick. But then, like she said, there's nothing you can do about it. But that's where I found that being able to talk to God, and that's what I would ask, please calm my heart.
Yes.
So that I don't worry. So
that is so true.
That is really true. That is really true. I know one thing that I personally went through was when I was going, and thank you, Rochelle, again, was when I was going through, you know, into really bad hardship. I was in a position where I was worrying a lot. I even found myself crying. I would be away from the kids, you know, and find myself crying a lot. And my mind was just going all over the place. And, of course, it was, you know, after, you know, my relationship with my husband was over with. And I basically became a single mom again. But this time, everyone on here knows that I only have one biological child. Just about everybody knows. But my stepdaughters decided they wanted to stay with me, which that was a blessing. And also I wound up finishing raising a niece and a nephew. Food was scarce. The kids were in high school and playing sports. Not to mention my son was becoming a senior in high school. And he was getting ready to become a high school graduate. So, you know, we have to buy the caps, the gowns, senior fees, you know, all this and that, pictures, everything. I was just worried where this extra money was going to come through. And like I said, there were times where I hid and cried from the kids because I didn't want them to see me crying, but simply because I was just trying to make ends meet day by day. And then one day I spoke to my earthly father, Mr. Clarence Wallace, and he advised me to go to talk to my heavenly Father. And I did just that, but I also learned to leave my troubles with him, and that is with God. After that, I began to I began feeling better, and everything wound up working out for the good. Just there was times where I didn't think I was going to be able to get a light bill paid or something. Boom, something pops up, and the light bill gets paid. You know, and that's just one of the examples. And also, I didn't think certain situations would possibly fall through. Also, where I learned that God's timing is perfect, and He has the final say-so. This leads me to the verse, 1 John 3:20. God is greater than our heart, and He knows everything. And remember, just because we don't see an immediate change doesn't mean that God did not hear you. Any more comments or questions on that part?
Excuse me, Yolanda.
Hello.
This is Rochelle again.
Hello.
And this is my last comment. And that is, and I meant to say it the last time, but like I said, I can remember going through some things and just worried, sick about how the outcome was going to come. And I had heard this song called Let Go, and it's by a gentleman by the name of Dwayne Woods. And I used to listen to that song and listen to the words. You know, like just for instance, it says, I couldn't seem to fall asleep. There was so much on my mind, searching for that peace, but the peace I could not find. So then I kneeled down to pray, praying, help me please. But then he said, you don't have to cry because I'll supply all your needs. So I listened to that song over and over and over and over, and that, listen to those words. So.
And I remember you introducing me to that song, Rochelle.
Right.
So, and I really appreciate that. And you introducing me to that song, because sometimes, you know, when I feel some sort of way, I just go to that song and I listen to it. Now, there was someone else that was wanting to say something. Feel free to come right on in.
Yes, hi. My name is Carmen Sawyers. I'm Shauna's cousin. And Shauna, thanks for inviting me. Hi. I'm going through a real situation. You know, you all, it sounds good, but I'm going through something. It's hard to me. It's very hard. I had a friend who committed suicide. Now, in my mind, I thought that I could stop her. But when she got along, she did what she wanted to do, and it hurt me to the core of my heart. I kind of felt that her depression was deeper than her love for me. But I had to learn that God was in control. God could have stopped that if He wanted to.
Yeah.
But he took her. But, you know, I'm dealing with that. It's hard, and I don't really know how to deal with it because I've never been through this before. So y'all just pray for me. Please, pray for me.
Okay. Ladies. And everyone, keep her in mind to pray. Put her in your personal prayers tonight. Thank you, Carmen, for sharing that. We would definitely keep you in our prayers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else have anything that they would like to share? What's Carmen's last name? Carmen?
Sawyers.
Sawyers.
Sawyers. Sawyers.
Correct.
E-I-N. Okay. Thank you. Hey, Yolanda, I have one thing to say. We all have a time when we go through a week, and what I mean by weakness is we all have that mistrust, you know, or should I say the faith. Our faith get a little weary, but like you say in the Bible, the faith of a mustard seed. That's all you need. I went through a situation when I had my car wreck. And Yolanda, I know, and ladies, I know I done grow because, you know, when I got out that car, actually when it was happening, when it was hitting me, I got out that car and I felt joy for some reason or another. I didn't feel no pain, no madness, no angerness, no nothing. Just, I mean, so you know, I mean, we all go through those downward spirals or whatever, but we all, I mean, and through our daily task, if you just have that little trust And when you pray and you let it go, I mean, a lot of times, sometimes we pray because we're human. We pray and we don't trust God to do it right then. You know, we in a rush. We want him to do whatever it is our situation is. We want him to fix it right then. But I mean, I've had this situation where, I mean, I can relate to the young lady about her friend committing suicide. And I'm sorry to hear that. But I mean, just keep the faith, sweetie. It'll be okay. It'll be just fine. And the morning or the day that you realize that you got that peace, it's gonna feel wonderful. I mean, that lady, your friend, she loves you. It wasn't that she didn't love you. She just had some issues that she was going through. And I promise you, I have her in my prayers tonight, and you too.
Yeah. Me too, Carmen. We will all have you in my prayers tonight. And thank you all for sharing that with us, for sharing everything, you know, that you, for all the comments that you all made and everything. But one thing that I would like to say is another person, you all you ladies are inspirations to me. And I'm just so joyful to hear my East 3rd Street sisters on here. And but Shauna, Otis, I have to say that I watched you ever since I've gotten to know you. And I have to say that through everything you've been through, I truly admire your calmness. Everyone on here can attest, you know, that she has always, through her sickness, her illness and everything, she's just so calm. And she's always striving to keep going. And just how you just kept going through your Christian walk, and you didn't let anything stop you. Even though you were going through great suffering, would you like to share basically how you did, you know, how was it and how you got through those difficult times?
So this has been a very powerful lesson tonight. I would just say, you know, I'm going through what I went through. And if you didn't know what I went through, I'm a 3-time survivor, cancer survivor. So,
Amen.
God is good. God is good. I have seen so many blessings, just over and over and over, and just trying to get to know when you need to be blessed and need to be encouraged. Your people are you're helping them too, even though you need to be encouraged. But just to see and just to still, you know, get people's viewpoints or how trusting God in the process. And I tell you, I had to trust Him every single time, every single treatment, because, you know, going through that first treatment back in 2010, trusting God in the process, I was in a treatment and they thought that they was losing me. And because I was so out of breath, I was like, what in the world is going on, you know? And so, but going, you know, out of breath in a treatment chair, you know, this is really, this is not nerve-wracking. It's scary, you know. But, you know, just trying to, you know, trust God, you know, you singing, y'all know me, I'm always singing something. I'm always humming something because that helps my state of mind when you're going through stuff. And then, you know, going through it and hearing about, and then when finally, you know, through that treatment, I think that was the year that they told me that I had a blood clot in my right lung. And then also, ended up getting congestive heart failure. So I was like, oh, Lord, you know, so I was like, you know, but then, it, you know, so once it was cured, it showed up again. And so at that time, I was like, okay, I'm going to trust God. I'm going to trust God in this process. I said, but I started looking at it differently because I was like, okay, I know you start to question. I started to question God the first time around it happened. The second time around, I'm like, I started questioning too, but I had a different perspective on it then. The second time around that it happened, it was just like, what are you doing, Shauna? What could you change? God had to stop you in your tracks or something. What are you doing? And so I just started taking a self-evaluation check because a lot of times you have to do that. You have to take a self-evaluation check, and just to see like what is something that you could have done that you didn't do, or what could you have done differently? And I looked at that over, and I constantly question. I was constantly questioning myself, that second time around. And then it showed up again on that third time around. I was like, whew, okay, can I just get a break? Be like, wait, what? You thinking that, you're thinking that you're doing everything what you're supposed to be doing. But every situation, I just look at it so differently now, but every situation is like so different. I just, trusting God and having faith in Him. I started, I think this third time around, everybody's been asking me to speak here, speak there, write this, write that, try to help somebody. And I'm like, every time I talk about it, I get emotional.
Yeah.
But it's a good emotional because I'm thankful. And so I was like, man, sure, why not? Hey, because maybe by me sharing my testimony or sharing what I've gone through will help somebody else. And so, and a lot of times, people need to feel or hear what you went through to help them in their current situation. So it's hard, and I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. It was hard. It was hard, because it took me a while to get to this point. And I think every time that I talk about it, I get stronger and stronger. But you have to. But in the process, I learned to trust God. I learned to, just stop. You're doing too much, Shauna. Sit down, take a break, and that's what I've been doing. I tell myself that all the time, take a break, listen to your body. You tired, go back in the house, and my mom will always get on me. My mama's a registered nurse. She'll always say, take a break. Well, you doing too much. You got this going on, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I hear you, Mom, but I don't like to sit in the house. But I tell you, this last time, because I was like, this last time, it basically kept me in the house because I had went in just to go check on, I was having back pains. I was like, what is this? So I just went in for back pains, but come out to tell me, hey, you had cancer on your bones. And I was like, oh, when you get cancer on your bones, that's like, man, that's all she wrote. But I was like, nope. You're not, you fought it 2 times already, and you won it. You're gonna win it this time, But you're not gonna get weak. You're not gonna get, you're not gonna give up in the mix or whatnot. And then when I was going through that time in my life, I had an aunt that was going through same thing in that same time frame. So I was like, she was like encouraging me. I was encouraging her. And lo and behold, and I miss it to this day, but she lost her fight in the midst of it. But God is so good. But it's like, just encouraging, just to be there to encourage people, to lift them up and just make them stronger. You just never know. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I'm thankful that God allowed me to go through it, to experience it, to be able to share with others. But if I can share anything with you about trusting God, trust God in any and everything. He's never said it would be easy, but trusting God trusting his process too. You got to trust it, you know. And when you find yourself, you know, want to doubt or whatnot, just find that song, start singing. You know, just sing. If you talk to me and I'm always humming something and I'm singing, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna sing. You know, and I find myself, because I picked up the anxiety or whatnot through like the cancers and stuff. You know, I picked up the anxiety or what have you, and I would listen to like calming, relaxing music. But I came across listening to some scriptures, and I said, you know, man, where has this been all my life? You know, but you know, I read the Bible, but you know, let me find, you know, reading the scripture, it like relaxes your mind, and you need to like relax your mind. You know, it's not easy, but it's a learning process, and it's over the course of the years. You keep living, you keep living, and you keep going through things in life. It's gonna make you trust Him more. It's gonna make you trust Him more. Yolanda, you have done an outstanding job on this show tonight. God is so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't really say much on it, but it was talking almost like a teaching moment. I was just giving her the opportunity to teach, you know, and to be able to, you know, get outside of that shyness or that scary nervousness. But you did a wonderful job tonight, and to see that your church family is on here representing tonight, that's been a blessing too. Thank you, Easter, for logging in to her show tonight. But Stevie, we really appreciate you for sharing sharing the airwaves with our ministry, with us, to allowing us to be able to bring on a show on your segment. We really appreciate that. I'm so full tonight. I just thank everybody. We thank you for tuning in tonight. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email us or reach out to Yolanda or myself, and we'll be able to answer your questions. If we'll get a Bible question, Bible answer for you. Sister Carmen, sorry, thank you, cousin. I really love you, but I will be praying for you. And then after this call, I'm going to actually call you tonight because I just want to say a prayer with you.
Okay. Amen.
That'll be fine.
But we will. But thank y'all again, and we will now turn this back over to Brother Stevie.
This is Genesis Archer, and you are listening in to the Mid-TN Singles Hour of Power. Peace and love, everyone.
Going home. I'm going home. To see my Lord. Said I'm going home. I'm going home. Said I am going home to see my Lord. Going home. Yes, I am. One of these moments that won't be long. Y'all gonna look for me. I'll be going on home. I'm gonna fly away to a better place. I can hardly wait. No, going home. Hey, yeah. Don't worry about me, y'all. I'm going on home to see the King. Whoa. Hey, said I am going home. Boy, yes, I am going on home. One more thing. All of my loved ones gone on before. Y'all don't see them again. Over on the other shore, and we will meet again. Waiting on the sky, we'll be together forever. Won't have to say bye-bye. Wanna see my mother, my loved ones, y'all. But most of all, y'all, I wanna see my Lord. The one that died, gave his life, and paid the price. Yeah, I can't wait to see his face. I'll thank him for his word. Hey, oh Lord, yeah, one more thing. If anybody down here start looking for me, now just do me one favor and tell them for me. Hey, tell them y'all going home. Tell them for that I'm going home. And I I got one question to ask you this is, don't you wanna go home? 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 Said I wanna go home. 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 I wanna go home, yeah, 'cause I wanna see Jesus. I wanna see Jesus way up in the sky where we will never die. To wipe the tears from my eyes, I don't have to cry no more. Over on the other shore, yeah, 'cause I wanna roll. Don't you wanna roll? Don't you wanna go home? Said I wanna go home. No, I can't wait to fly away. When I get home, no more cry, no more tears, no more pain. See my Jesus, I take his hand, and we'll walk all over God. Oh yes we will. Tell him how we made it over through the struggles of life, through the pain. Oh yes we did.
You're listening to What a Word from the Lord radio show.
I'm gonna keep on climbing this mountain till I reach higher ground.
Can't turn around.
I can't turn around.
Oh no,
no, I ain't gonna stop now.
Anybody out there
so the storm wind blows,
having trials and tribulations? Just want to encourage you. Keep moving on. I need somebody who's been through something. Help me now.
I've had some ups and downs, some hard times in my life.
I've had to wipe so many tears from my weeping eyes.
I know the pain will last only for a night.
That's why I'll hold on till the morning light. You see the suffering we're going through, it don't compare the treasures that wait for us over there. I gotta keep on climbing, though sometimes we make it hard. But we ain't gonna stop till we reach the top. No matter what comes my way, I ain't gonna stop now. Even though the strong winds blow. Y'all, when we get down, how the devil tries to make us think there is no way out. Maybe you lost someone that was close to you.
Maybe you're sick and there's nothing you can do.
Oh yeah.
Just keep your eyes to the sky when times get hard. Keep pressing toward the prize.
Oh, you see, I'm trying. They won't last for long.
They only make us
so we gotta keep on. Up a rough ride, up a mountain to that higher ground. Gotta keep climbing.
Never gonna turn around.
No, I ain't gonna stop now.
Even though the storm winds blow, yeah. Well, I can't stop moving on till I reach those pearly gates, y'all. It gets hard sometimes, and I don't understand. Go the way that I planned it.
Sometimes we just can't see.
I keep on climbing.
Gotta keep on climbing. Keep on fighting. Everything's alright. Weeping may endure for the night. Joy comes in the morning light. Hey.
been listening to What a Word from the Lord radio show, episode 224.
You're listening to What a Word from the Lord radio show.
Oh, yeah. I'll go. Wherever I'll be. Just say so. I'll go. Right here. My is waiting high. Don't matter what time of day. In the morning. Or in the afternoon. I'll go. Call you place on my life.